Hi, I'm Scott Mansell and welcome to the Driver 61 channel. Now yesterday I posted a video analysing the incident between Kimi Raikkonen and Lewis Hamilton, and while I think that was a slam dunk really for Kimi, I really think that he made a little mistake as he went in a little bit quick on the brakes at the start of the race and drove it into Hamilton there. But there was an incident later in the race between Grosjean and Sainz that was a little bit more difficult to see whose fault it was. So in this video, I'm going to take an in-depth, frame-by-frame look at the incident to really see what happened and to see if it was just a racing incident or if it was Sainz's or Grosjean's mistake. So before I get into the video, please leave your comments in the section below about whose fault you think it was before we go into the frame-by-frame footage. So here we are coming along the old start-finish straight here at Silverstone. Grosjean's in the middle of the track. He's had to defend against Sainz, and Sainz is somewhere over here, just on the left-hand side, coming around into Copse. Now, I've raced at Silverstone GP many times, and Copse is always a tricky corner, mainly because the old pit lane exit, or the old pit lane in fact, is all here on the right hand side. So it's incredibly difficult to actually spot the apex because the barrier, which you can just see down here, the barrier runs around the inside of the circuit, and there isn't much space between that barrier and the curbing on the right hand side. So actually when you're turning into Copse, you can't really see the apex because you're arriving very quickly and it's very close to the wall as you're coming through Copse. So with it being a quick corner, with this lack of visibility, it is hard to make that apex and to get Copse perfect every time. So especially from this view that Grosjean's at now, it's actually even more difficult to look through the corner because he's not on the left hand side, so it's difficult for him to look across the corner towards the apex. However, he's defended now, he's beginning to push Sainz up to the left-hand side of the road, and the reason that he's doing this is so that he can open up Copse as much as possible while still leaving Sainz that one car's width on the outside. So as we go frame by frame here, you can see eventually Sainz is just coming into shot now on the left-hand side of the screen. At this point, Grosjean will have either lifted for sure or possibly even braked as he's coming in here. We're moving through the race, the tyres might be getting a little bit old, but mainly it's because he's not going in at the optimum angle. He's not opening up Copse as much as possible. So he's had to lift a little bit, and the other thing is he knows that Sainz is on the outside. So from a racing driver's perspective, you need to try to protect yourself in case you do make a mistake so you don't slide into the car on the outside. Whereas from Sainz's position, he can actually be a little bit more brave. Well, brave isn't really the correct expression. He can go in a little bit quicker, safe in the knowledge that if he makes a mistake, carries a little bit too much speed into Copse, he's got all the acres of runoff on the outside of the circuit. So if he makes a mistake, it doesn't make anywhere near as much difference as if Grosjean makes a mistake, because if he understeers or oversteers, he'll obviously crash into Sainz, which is what eventually happens. So Grosjean's coming in, Sainz is brave, he's leaving him just enough room here. Sainz is, it's difficult at Copse to really go around the outside more. In the video yesterday, you saw that Hamilton gave Raikkonen quite a lot of space coming into turn 3, much more than a car's width. In a slower corner, it's a bit easier to do this, but with Copse being a quick flick to the right, it's very difficult to go around the outside of the corner and maintain your speed. So Sainz is giving a fair amount of room here, but it's just on the limit. I mean, there's not much more than a car's width there. Now, this is where we see the mistake for Grosjean. As he's coming in to Copse, in towards the apex, which is just up ahead, just about here, the apex will be. He gets a kick of oversteer. If you watch the steering wheel here now, it's very easy to see. As he opens up the steering wheel here, putting in some opposite lock, he's picked up that oversteer. And the reason for this is it carried that little bit too much speed into Copse, probably just kept the weight on the nose of the car a little bit too long. And when you have more weight over one end of the car, in this case the front of the car, it gives the front more of the balance, more of the grip than the rear. So he's coming in on the brakes or just decelerating slightly. The weight of the car is coming over onto the front and that front left, and the rear goes light and he gets a little bit of oversteer. That bit of oversteer is just enough, you can see in this frame here, it's just enough to move the front of the car across and into Sainz. It's only 40, 50 centimetres, half a metre, but it's enough when, you know, when they're racing so closely for them to come together and make contact. If Grosjean hadn't made that mistake and was right on the curb on the inside here, he would have had enough room for them to both make it through the corner together. And I think Sainz probably would have got the position anyway because he's around the outside, he can be a bit more brave. It's always difficult being in Grosjean's position here, defending going into a quick corner, especially when there's the runoff on the outside like there is at Copse. So as you can see here, they interlock wheels, Sainz goes up in the air, was incredibly lucky here not to go over and have a massive crash. They make contact again, and obviously that was the end of the race for both of them. So in my opinion, it was a racing incident. However, it was more Grosjean's fault than Sainz's fault. We've seen many times from Grosjean, when he's in this position with close racing, he'll make a mistake and he doesn't have that precision that's needed. Sainz didn't give him a massive amount of room, but he gave him enough room. If Grosjean hadn't made that mistake, they both would have made it through the corner together. So yeah, in my opinion, it was more Grosjean's fault, but it was a racing incident. It is easy to make a mistake in that position. And as I said, it's something that we've seen from Grosjean quite a few times now. And I think that when he's in the action like this, when he's racing really close, he just tries to take a little bit too much speed or aggression into the situation and then ends up having a problem like this. So that's my analysis of this incident between Carlos Sainz and Romain Grosjean. Let me know what you think about it in the comments below. If you did like this video, please give us a like just below here, and consider subscribing for more Formula 1 and driving technique videos. Thank you very much for watching, and I'll see you next time.